そうだな。世界征服なんて面白いかもしれないな。
The anime begins with a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, also known as DMMO-RPG, called Yggdrasil, which was released in 2126. It quickly gained popularity in Japan, but after 12 years, the game is nearing its end due to low player activity. A group of heroes faces an army of skeleton monsters and manages to defeat them. However, their victory is short-lived when they encounter a group of opponents led by a powerful skeleton lord who easily defeats them with a single blow. The focus then shifts to Momonga, the skeleton lord, who is at level 100 and resides in the Great Tomb of Nazarick. He sits at a round table, having a conversation with another player named Hirohiro, who has been away for 2 years. Hirohiro expresses his admiration for Momonga's leadership in maintaining the guild and the tomb. However, he is too tired and decides to log out, as the other players are unavailable due to their busy real lives. As it is the last day of the server, Momonga decides to spend it alone, hoping to meet the others somewhere else in the future. He takes a moment to reminisce about the memories he made with all the players. He picks up the guild weapon, the staff of Ainz Ooal Gown, which was crafted by some of the players during their paid vacations. Sadly, out of the 41 members, everyone except Momonga quit the game, choosing to focus on real life. While exploring, Momonga comes across the NPCs, including Sebas and the combat maids of Pleiades. He commands them to follow him to the throne room, where he instructs them to stand by. Momonga takes a seat on the throne, accompanied by the strongest NPC of the tomb by his side. He accesses the settings of the NPC, which were created by Tabula, and adds a feature that portrays her as deeply in love with Momonga, using his administrative powers. He then commands all the NPCs to bow down, reminiscent of the past times he had fun with the players. However, Momonga realizes that something is wrong when the server does not shut down as expected. He is unable to access his console or use chat or GM calls. An NPC standing beside him asks what's wrong and starts calling his name, which surprises Momonga as NPCs should not be able to talk. He tries to use all the in-game functions and realizes that they still work, but he cannot contact any admins or access his console. The NPCs, however, respond to his orders, leaving Momonga in shock. To assess the situation, Momonga orders Sebas to leave the tomb and confirm the surroundings. He also instructs the Pleiades to guard the 9th floor. Momonga becomes more confused as the NPCs follow his orders without specific commands. He even orders the strongest girl beside him to come closer, and he can feel her presence, smell her, check her pulse, and even touch her breasts. These experiences make him realize that this is part of real life. He then orders the NPCs to gather in the lightning arena on the 6th floor. Momonga teleports there using his ring and searches for the twin Dark Elves Guardians, which were set up by his friend Chagama. Oro arrives and calls Mare, who is hesitant to jump but eventually joins Momonga. They inquire about the legendary item in Momonga's hands, and he introduces it as a god artifact with power that surpasses god level. This surprises both of them. Momonga decides to test his magic and finds that he can summon a primal fire elemental simply by speaking its name, without needing to click any icons from the console. He instructs the twins to fight the elemental, with Aura using multiple attacks and Mare providing magical shields. Momonga attempts to contact the guild members but fails to do so. However, he manages to connect with Sebas, who informs him of a slight problem. Momonga orders all the Guardians to gather, and the twins successfully defeat the elemental. The Guardians start introducing themselves to Momonga, starting with Shell-Tier Bloodfallen, Cocytus, Oro and Mare, Demiurge, and the leader of all the Guardians, Albedo. They express their complete loyalty towards Momonga, the guild leader, by bowing their heads. Momonga, with no friends in the real world and nothing else to hold on to except work and sleep, decides to embrace the situation and accept their loyalty. Later on, Mare and Aura engage in an argument about Momonga, but their dispute is interrupted by Cocytus. It becomes evident that all of them are acting in a way that reflects the personalities given to them by Momonga's friends. After the shutdown of the DMMO-RPG Yggdrasil, the game undergoes changes, allowing magic to be used and altering various rules. The NPCs start moving and speaking on their own. Albedo and the others pledge to work hard and live up to the expectations of their master. Momonga informs everyone that the Great Tomb has been caught up in an unknown situation and he has sent Sebas on a survey. Sebas returns and reports that there are no buildings or creatures within a 1-kilometer radius, leading Momonga to realize that the tomb has been transported to an unknown place. He orders the creation of a stronger information system and fortification of defenses. Mare suggests covering the walls with dirt and vegetation to conceal the Great Tomb, which Momonga approves. Lastly, Momonga asks everyone what kind of person he is to them. Each expresses their gratitude, describing him as merciful, wise, loving, and caring. Albedo, in particular, expresses her love for him. Momonga leaves the room, and the others discuss his kindness, finding him amazing and an absolute ruler. Meanwhile, Sheltier experiences a crisis of excitement, causing her underwear to be affected. Albedo and Sheltier engage in a heated argument over Momonga. The others discuss the future of Nazarick, considering the possibility of Momonga having an heir. Cocytus contemplates being an uncle, and eventually, Sheltier and Albedo agree that Albedo will be the head wife first. Albedo then begins explaining her plans to the others. Momonga attempts to swing a sword but fails initially due to his magician class. 3 days have passed since he arrived in this new world, and he realizes that he feels emotionally unstable at times. However, he doesn't experience hunger or the need to sleep. He acquires a powerful suit of swordsman armor, which allows him to easily attack with his sword. He discovers that any items created by magic are usable. He decides to go for a walk alone on the first floor to breathe some fresh air. Suddenly, he encounters demons named Jealousy, Avarice, and Wraith. Demiurge arrives, and the demons bow down, recognizing Momonga as the only one who can teleport through the floors. Momonga informs them that he is going out for a while. Demiurge suggests that he should at least take one of them with him, and Momonga agrees. During his walk, Momonga is captivated by the clear sky adorned with numerous stars. He wears a bracelet of wings and flies towards the moon. Demiurge reverts to his original form. Momonga enjoys the breathtaking view of the moon and the glittering stars, which resemble a box of jewels. He shares his intention of finding a box of treasures to adorn Nazarick and his friends from Ainz Ooal Gown. Demiurge assures him that all forces will be mobilized to retrieve it. Momonga expresses his desire to conquer the world, shocking Demiurge. He decides to spread the name of Ainz Ooal Gown. Suddenly, he notices dirt approaching the walls of Nazarick as Mare uses his skills to conceal them. Momonga decides to go and appreciate Mare's work, rewarding him with the ring of Ainz Ooal Gown, granting him freedom to move within the limits of Nazarick. Mare expresses his determination to work even harder for Momonga and asks about Momonga's attire. Albedo arrives and begins extolling Momonga's greatness. Albedo becomes a bit jealous upon seeing the ring in Mare's hands. Momonga gifts her with a ring as well and instructs Demiurge to prepare one for him on another day. He leaves, and Albedo shouts with excitement. Later, a group of soldiers led by the head warrior Gazef head towards a village on horseback. The village has been attacked by a group known as the Baharuth Knights, and the king has ordered them to investigate and eliminate the attackers. 50 soldiers have been dispatched for this mission, but one soldier identifies it as a trap and suggests returning to Irantal to avoid losing the most powerful swordsman. The head warrior, however, holds hope for powerful nobles or adventurers to come and save them, despite no one appearing previously. Gazef expresses his motivation to protect the weak. Meanwhile, in the tomb of Nazarick, Momonga watches the surroundings using a magic mirror and tries to figure out how to use it with the help of Sebas. They search for areas where they might find people. While observing, Momonga witnesses a group of warriors brutally killing innocent people in a village. He calmly watches the scenes unfold, but feels no inclination to save the people. However, memories of his past friend Touchsan, who saved him from online players, resurface. Touchsan had intervened to help someone in trouble. After reconsidering the situation, Momonga decides to go to the village to save it and test his own strength. He orders Sebas to raise the security level of Nazarick and send skilled soldiers to assist. He also instructs Sebas to inform Albedo to join him fully armed. As a soldier is about to kill a mother and her daughter, a gate suddenly opens in front of them, and Momonga arrives. He kills one of the soldiers using Heart Grasp magic, a powerful 9th tier spell, and another with Dragon Lightning, a 5th tier magic. Momonga creates a soldier as a Death Knight using magic and orders it to eliminate the attacking knights. He then runs towards them, and Albedo arrives fully armored. Momonga offers a healing potion to the injured mother, who initially resists, mistaking it for blood. Albedo attempts to kill them, but Momonga stops her and orders her to lower her weapon. The mother eventually takes the healing potion, quickly healing herself. Momonga introduces himself as a magic caster and creates a protective wall around them. He gives them a pair of horns, which can be blown to summon an army of goblins if they are attacked. The mother and daughter express their gratitude for saving them, and Momonga reveals his name as Ainz Ooal. Ainz Ooal Gown. Ooal Gown. Meanwhile, the soldiers have taken control of the villagers and are attempting to kill them. However, the Death Knight arrives and starts slaughtering the soldiers with powerful blows. It also kills Chief Blues. The soldiers try various strategies to defeat the Death Knight but fail. Lawmonga appears with a mask on his face, ordering the Death Knight to stop. He introduces himself and instructs all the soldiers to run and inform their leader about him, warning them to dismantle their kingdom. The grateful villagers bow their heads in thanks. Later, Lawmonga gathers information about this world from the village chief and his wife. They provide details about the surrounding kingdoms, including the Re-Estai's kingdom, the Baharuth Empire, and the Slain Theocracy. Lawmonga learns that the attacking soldiers were from the Baharuth Empire, aiming to create enmity between the Re-Estai's kingdom and their empire. The nearest city to the village is Erantal, where adventurers usually hunt goblins and monsters for rewards. Lawmonga decides to go to the city to gather more information. While the villagers mourn the loss of their loved ones, who died in the attack, Lawmonga contemplates using the Wand of Resurrection to revive them all. However, he refrains from doing so to avoid unnecessary trouble. He is satisfied with saving the village. As he walks, Lawmonga considers spreading the news of the village's rescue under the name of Ainz Ooal Gown. He wonders if there are any other Yggdrasil players in this world and where they might be. As they prepare to leave, Albedo displays rudeness towards a human, but Lawmonga stops her and advises treating humans with both calamity and kindness. Lawmonga encounters another problem as the chief discusses a group of knights approaching the village once again. Lawmonga orders all the villagers to stay at home and positions himself with Albedo and the chief to face the knights. Suddenly, a soldier brings news of unknown figures approaching the village. The king of the Slain Kingdom orders their head priest to eliminate Gaze of Stronov, the strongest warrior of the Re-Estai's kingdom. The head priest is given a treasured item containing the Miracle of Gods and mobilizes their units for the attack. Lawmonga and Gazef discuss the situation and realize that the monsters from Yggdrasil have also appeared. Gazef offers his services to Lawmonga, but Lawmonga refuses, thanking Gazef for his gratitude and assuring him that he will protect the villagers. Gazef heads towards the enemies, leaving the village and planning to create an opening for the villagers to escape. He attacks with his army of soldiers, eliminating many angels, but they continue to respawn. Gazef uses his focus battle aura and eliminates more angels, but they persist due to the magic casters. The magic casters focus their attention on Gazef, and the army returns to engage in the fight again. They fight with multiple attacks, but Gazef spots the head priest and targets him. Despite his efforts, the head priest keeps spawning more angels, leaving Gazef feeling frustrated. The people of the village are scared, witnessing Gazef fighting against the overwhelming magic casters. Gazef falls after a direct attack, but he stands back up with patriotism and motivation to protect his kingdom. The head priest believes Gazef's determination is foolish and assures him that his death will be painless. Gazef smiles with a sense of irony, revealing that someone stronger than him is in the village, calling the head priest a fool. The head priest prepares to kill Gazef, but Lawmonga intervenes. Suddenly, Gazef disappears and Lawmonga takes his place. The villagers and chief are shocked, and Gazef, holding the item given by Lawmonga, becomes unconscious with a smile. Meanwhile, Lawmonga introduces himself as Ainz Gown to the people of the Slain Kingdom. He declares his opposition to the entire army of magic casters. Lawmonga demonstrates a bit of his power by easily eliminating two angels that attack him directly with their swords, leaving everyone in shock. Ainz warns the people to offer their lives without resistance and threatens them with a painful death if they refuse. The magic casters launch low-level magic attacks against Ainz, but he remains unfazed. One magic caster makes a direct hit, but Albedo swiftly beheads him. The head priest then attempts to use Principality Observation, but Ainz stops the angel's attack with his bare hands and destroys it with Hell Flame, a powerful spell. The head priest uses a Yggdrasil item, a crystal that seals magic other than top-tier spells. Ainz orders Albedo to protect him as the head priest spawns a big angel, their strongest trump card. However, Ainz dismisses it as child's play and the battle continues. The head priest commands the angel to use Holy Smite, a 7th tier magic attack against Ainz, but Ainz remains unharmed. Ainz counters by making the angel disappear using his black hole magic, demonstrating his power surpassing even demons. A glass breaks in the sky, indicating someone had been watching the battle using information magic. Ainz activates his defense barrier, knowing they haven't seen the full extent of his power. The head priest starts begging for his life, offering rewards to Ainz, but Albedo dismisses them as lower life forms. Ainz removes his mask and takes their lives. On their way back, Albedo is impressed by Ainz's composure and asks him about saving the humans. Ainz explains that they must move forward, considering the enemy stronger than themselves. He used the humans as pawns to understand the strength of their enemies. Albedo expresses her love towards Ainz. Later, in the tomb of Nazarick, Ainz apologizes to everyone for acting on his own and announces that his name is now Ainz Ooal Gown.
Ainz Ooal Gown. Ainz to yobu ga yoi.
He instructs everyone to call him Ainz. Albedo and others pledge their loyalty to their leader, ensuring that everyone in this world will know his greatness and calling him the ruler of death, the Overlord. Ainz aims to spread his name in the hope of reaching any friends who may come to this world. Later, Albedo provides Ainz with updates regarding the reports on their surroundings while they search for any Yggdrasil players. Aura expands the area of surveillance to include the Great Woodlands near Nazarick. It is revealed that the man they captured earlier was Nigun, the commander of the Special Ops Unit for the Sunlit Scripture of the Slain Theocracy. Ainz identifies the Slain Theocracy as a nation that believes humans must unite against all other races. He commands Albedo not to contact them for now, in order to avoid creating a negative image in Karn Village. Ainz appreciates Albedo's work, and Albedo expresses her love towards him. Ainz clarifies that the feelings Albedo has for him are a result of his influence, and Albedo is content with that. Ainz reveals that he made a mistake with Tabula's settings, the friend who created Albedo. Albedo replies that her father will forgive Ainz for marrying her, once again showing her love. Suddenly, Sheltier arrives and Albedo and Sheltier engage in an argument. Ainz intervenes and tells them to stop, and Sheltier leaves, mentioning her unavailability for a short time. Later, in the fortress city Irental, Ainz and Nabe arrive at a hotel bar and ask for a room for two. The cost is 7 pieces for one night. As they head towards the room, a man obstructs their path, but Ainz easily surpasses him and accidentally throws him towards a girl holding a healing potion, causing it to break. The girl becomes angry and upset since she had saved up to buy the potion. Nabe tries to eliminate her, but Ainz compensates the girl with a red healing potion, which satisfies her. Nabe and Ainz discuss staying in a low-profile place. Ainz explains that they need to be undercover as young adventurers to gain knowledge about the world and gather information. He instructs Nabe to refer to him as Mammon in the city to keep their identities hidden. They also face the issue of running out of money, so they decide to find a job first to earn money while using the gold they brought from Yggdrasil, without revealing their origins. Meanwhile, the girl with the red potion goes to sell it to a pharmacist in Irental. An old lady judges the potion and confirms its authenticity, stating that no one has been able to make it until now. The potion is equivalent to a second-tier healing spell and is valued at 8 gold pieces. Upon hearing this, the girl becomes extremely happy and changes her mind about selling it due to its rarity. Ainz looks at the job postings on the notice board, and people continue to talk about his armor. He selects a job but is informed by a servant that it is only for mithril plate adventurers, while Ainz is a copper plate adventurer. Ainz tries to meet the requirements by introducing Nabe as a third-tier magic caster and himself as a warrior on par with her, but the servant declines their request. Ainz then requests the hardest quest available for a copper-ranked adventurer. Suddenly, a group of guys approaches them and asks Ainz and Nabe to join their clan called the Swords of Darkness. The clan members introduce themselves as Peter Mock, Lucrit Volve, Dine Wood Wonder, and Ninya the Spellcaster. What the heck even are these names? Anyways, Ninya is a talent holder, a child born with an affinity for magic, which impresses Ainz. They mention another famous talent holder in the city named Balarshi, the grandson of a famous pharmacist, whose talent allows him to use all magic items. Ainz finds this information dangerous. The clan explains their job to eliminate monsters near the city of Irental, with a reward from the guild. The whole clan sees it as their daily routine and a win-win situation. Ainz agrees to join them and reveals his illusionary face. One of the clan members expresses her love for Nabe, but receives a rude reply and is stopped by their leader. As they are about to leave, a servant suddenly approaches with a job request from Balar. Nabe moves forward to protect Ainz, but he stops her and decides to consider the request after they finish the job with the clan. Balar introduces himself and shares his plan to go to Karn Village to gather herbs, asking Ainz to guard him. Ainz finds it troublesome but inquires why Balar specifically requested him, as he had just arrived in town. Balar explains that he heard about Ainz defeating higher-ranked adventurers at the hotel, and he wanted to try someone new and hire a cheaper copper plate-ranked adventurer. They decide to go immediately. In another scene, a girl dressed unusually, a past member of the Black Scripture, enters a basement resembling a cave. She meets Kajit and buys him a crown of wisdom, which is proof of a shaman princess. It is an item that emits high-level magic. She asks Kajit for help in accessing the item to capture a talent holder in the city who can use any magic item. In exchange, she offers to help Kajit with his ritual, and he agrees, and the others continue their journey towards Karn village while protecting Balar. They take a break near a lake to drink water and refresh the horses. Peter warns Ainz that things will get dangerous ahead, and Ainz realizes that he cannot use a lot of magic while inside his armor, so he plans to fight as a warrior. Nabe will use 5th tier magic if necessary, and if that's not enough, Ainz will take the situation more seriously. The area they are in is known as the Wise King of the Forest, and Balar explains that it is inhabited by a mighty creature, a silver, 4-legged being with a snake-like tail, who is wise and capable of using magic, which intrigues Ainz. Meanwhile, in the tomb of Nazarick, Demiurge visits Ainz's room and finds Albedo enjoying herself with a body pillow she made for Ainz. It turns out that she has been knitting pillows and socks for their future child as well. While Ainz finds the clan's magic interesting, he also notices that their technology is of a medieval level, and the sophistication of their magic astonishes him. Lucret starts teasing Nabe again, calling Ainz and Nabe lovers, which excites Nabe and leads her to talk about Albedo. Ainz interrupts her and tells Lucret not to interfere in their personal lives. Peter apologizes on Lucret's behalf, and suddenly they hear sounds of monsters approaching. Peter points out the direction from where they are coming, and Ainz orders Balar to stay in the cart while the others prepare to fight. Ainz decides to take on all the monsters himself, instructing the others to take care of Balar. Everyone joins the battle, with Ainz using his twin big swords to deliver powerful blows, leaving everyone in shock. The others fight goblins and other monsters, and when the bigger monsters try to escape, Ainz orders Nabe to stop them, which she does with a lightning attack. The monsters are easily defeated, and one of the clan members starts collecting some of their parts to submit to the guild for rewards. The clan is impressed with Ainz and Nabe's skills, considering them to be as skilled as royal head warriors. Ainz appreciates their teamwork. During dinner that night, Ainz contemplates how to escape the situation since he cannot eat or sleep due to his skeletal body. He shares a pre-made religious theory with everyone, stating that they shouldn't eat for a few days after killing someone to escape suspicion. He then asks about the origin of the name Swords of Darkness for their team. Peter explains that it comes from the 13 heroes, and the Swords of Darkness are 4 of those heroes. Their ultimate goal as a clan is to find those swords. Each member shows a symbol of a small sword to represent their allegiance. Ainz reflects on his past, when he was weak and alone until a white holy knight saved him and led him to his comrades. He considers them to be wonderful allies and friends and cannot forget the days he spent with them. Ninja assures Ainz that he will find those allies again somewhere, but Ainz responds with disappointment, believing that day will never come. He leaves the conversation with Nabe, and Ninja feels a bit saddened by his response. Dane suggests that Ninja should paint over what he said, knowing the pain of losing loved ones as well. They shift the conversation towards discussing Ainz's strengths and his battle against the monsters. The conversation then turns to Balar, who reveals his interest in a woman from Karn village. On the other side, Clementine, the girl from the Black Scripture, continues to kill people in her search for a pharmacist with a rare talent. She tortures information sellers, and Kajit uses his undead magic to revive the soldiers they killed. Kajit has been preparing for years to turn the city of Erental into a city of death using a spiral of death, which would transform the entire city into a pit of undead. He plans to become immortal through this process and warns Clementine that if she causes more trouble, he will kill her. Clementine attempts a non-serious sword attack, but Kajit easily defends against it. Mommon's team arrived at Karn village and encountered Enri Emot along with her group of goblins. The goblins initially tried to attack them, but Enri intervened and informed them that Mommon's team were her friends. Enri explained to Enfire the reason behind the village's strong defenses and mentioned her encounter with Ainz,
Ainz Ooal Gown 様が置いていかれたアイテムを使ったら出てきたの。
who had given her a magical red liquid that healed her. She also mentioned Albedo, which led Enfire to deduce that Mommon was actually Ainz. The scene shifted to Ainz, who stood with Narbril, observing how the people of the village had grown stronger with the help of the goblins. Enfire approached Ainz and asked if he was Momonga, expressing his gratitude for the red potion Ainz had given them. He requested Ainz to teach him how to make it so he could help others. Ainz agreed to teach him the magic but needed some time to consider, as the magic could also be used for evil purposes. Enfire apologized to Ainz for tricking him, and Ainz advised him not to reveal his true identity to anyone. Narbril arrived after Enfire left and overheard the conversation. She asked for forgiveness, feeling responsible for revealing Ainz's true identity, and even considered taking her own life as a result. However, Ainz stopped her and assured her that there was no need for such drastic measures. The scene shifted to the forest where the wise king resided, and the group prepared to go there. Ainz decided to take only Narbrol with him because of her strong magic abilities. They ventured into the forest to gather herbs, and Ainz planned to tame the wise king of the forest with the assistance of Aura. However, Ainz felt disappointed when they discovered that the wise king was actually a massive hamster.
なんと、もしやそなた、それがしの種族を知っているでござ。
Surprisingly, Ainz managed to tame the hamster easily without much effort. After successfully taming the giant hamster, Enfira expressed his desire to join Mamon's adventurer team. However, Mamon politely declined the offer. Instead, Mamon proposed that he would take on the responsibility of protecting the village. Once their tasks in the village were complete, Mamon and the group returned to Irantal. Enfira and the Swords of Darkness began unpacking the herbs at Barriera's house, while Mamon and Nabe went to the Adventurers Guild to register Hamsuk. Meanwhile, inside Barriera's house, a surprising encounter awaited Enfira as Clementine appeared before him with the intention to kidnap him. In a shocking turn of events, Clementine abruptly appears before Enfira, preparing to abduct him. The members of the Swords of Darkness realize the imminent danger and try to create a distraction, allowing Enfira and Ninya an opportunity to escape. Unfortunately, their escape route is blocked by Kajiat, resulting in a tragic outcome where all the members of the Swords of Darkness lose their lives. After successfully registering Hamsuk at the Adventurers Guild, Mamon's group encounters Lizzie, who offers to guide them to her house. However, upon arrival, they are met with a horrifying sight. The Swords of Darkness have been transformed into zombies. Acting swiftly, Mamon and the others eliminate the zombified members. With the immediate threat neutralized, Mamon begins to investigate the true motives behind this incident, focusing on Enfira as a potential target. Mamon suggests to Lizzie that she should hire his services to rescue her grandson. Recognizing the urgency and sincerity in his request, Lizzie agrees to employ Mamon's assistance. In order to locate Enfira's whereabouts, Mamon instructs Nabe to use a locator scroll, a powerful magical item that can track a specific person. While investigating the situation, Mamon discovers a formidable undead army gathered at the cemetery. Realizing the immense danger it poses, Mamon understands the need to warn the townspeople and the Adventurers Guild about the impending threat. He urgently tasks Lizzie with informing the residents and guild members, emphasizing the importance of preparing for the approaching undead peril. The undead army launches a relentless assault on the gates of Irantal. The city guards valiantly attempt to defend the entrance, but they soon find themselves overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of the advancing undead. The defenders struggle to hold their ground as the enemy's forces continue to overpower them. Mamon's group arrives and fights their way through the undead horde. Along the way, they encounter the members of Zuranorn, who are in the midst of performing a dangerous ritual known as the Death Spiral within the city. Mamon decides to leave Nabe to confront Kajiat while he and Clementine move to a different location to continue their confrontation. Mamon reassures Clementine that he doesn't need to fight her with full seriousness, and their duel commences. Kajiat insults Nabe, calling her a fool, and summons a skeletal dragon that is resistant to magic. Nabe unsheathes her sword and effortlessly defeats the dragon with a single strike, leaving Kajiat completely shocked. He recreates the dragon and uses multiple spells on it. He then attempts to attack Nabe directly with a spell, but she had already cast a shield spell, frustrating him. In response, Kajiat channels negative energy to empower the dragon even further. The dragon becomes stronger and launches an attack on Nabe. Kajiat is astounded when Nabe stops the dragon's assault with her bare hands, revealing her incredible physical strength. Nabe informs him that she was created by supreme beings who surpass even gods. The scene shifts to the battle between Mamon and Clementine, which intensifies. Clementine's speed poses a challenge for Mamon, but he gradually learns to anticipate her fighting style. However, due to time constraints, Mamon realizes he can no longer hold back. He shouts, "Narbrol Gamma, show them the power of Nazarick." The scene shifts back to Nabe, who hears her master's command to unleash the power of Nazarick and transforms from Nabe to Narbrol Gamma. Kajiat is shocked as Nabe utilizes flying magic and dons a beautiful armor. The skeletal dragon, which can resist magic of level 6 or lower, is unable to nullify her attacks. Using a 7th tier spell called Twin Maximize Magic and Chain Dragon Lightning, she effortlessly defeats both dragons and Kajiat. Meanwhile, Clementine launches a strong and direct strike at Mamon, imbued with elemental power, and manages to stab him in both eyes. However, Mamon swiftly grabs her tightly with one arm, revealing his true identity as an Overlord. He taunts Clementine for being defeated by a magic caster who didn't even use his magic against her, tormenting her further. Mammon crushes her body between his powerful arms, ultimately ending her life. Ainz proceeds to rescue Enphyra and destroys the Crown of Wisdom. Mammon returns triumphantly with Nabe, Hamsuk, and Enphyra, having successfully resolved the cemetery incident in Rantel. At the inn, Ainz feels a sense of disappointment regarding his recent promotion alongside Nabe. He had hoped they would be promoted to the Orichalcum rank. However, he finds solace in the knowledge that as long as his heroic name spreads far and wide, he can find satisfaction. Ainz contacts Albedo, who urgently informs him of the betrayal of Sheltir against Nazarick. In the town of Rantel, a young woman staying at an inn causes a scene when she expresses dissatisfaction with her meal. Little does anyone know that the young lady is actually Solution Epsilon, and she and Sebastian are posing as members of a noble family from the Baharuth Empire. However, their hired helper, Zack, betrays them and leads them into an ambush by a group of mercenaries waiting outside the city. While traveling in a carriage towards Riestais, Solution Epsilon, Sebastian, and Sheltir Bloodfallen, accompanied by her two vampire brides, engage in a brief conversation about their creators and Ainz. Their discussion is abruptly interrupted by a commotion outside. The death-spreading brigade has surrounded them and becomes both excited and terrified upon recognizing Sheltir. However, their excitement quickly turns to horror as Sheltir and her vampire companions ruthlessly slaughter the bandits. Solution manages to capture Zack, absorbing him into her form. Afterwards, Sheltir and her minions bid farewell to the group and set off to pursue the remaining bandits and uncover their hideout. At the bandits' hideout, Sheltir encounters Brain Unglaus, who challenges her to a fight. Despite Brain's impressive skills and efforts, he struggles to land even a single blow on Sheltir. Sheltir's comments on his martial arts prowess deeply wound Brain's ego, causing him to flee. Realizing that the time for games is over, Sheltir reveals her true vampire form and resumes her merciless massacre of the bandits. Sensing the presence of individuals outside the base, she investigates and discovers a group of adventurers. Sheltir mercilessly eliminates all of them, except for Brita, who manages to save herself from certain death by using a potion provided by Mammon. Sheltir employs her mind control abilities on Brita to extract information about the source of the potion. However, upon hearing Brita's explanation, Sheltir becomes perplexed and decides to spare her, suspecting that this turn of events may be part of Ainz's grand plan. Furthermore, Sheltir is shocked to learn that an adventurer has been sent back to Rantel. Fueled by anger and a sense of neglect, she takes flight and summons several vampire wolves to track down the adventurer. However, all the wolves are swiftly killed, prompting Sheltir to investigate the cause. She discovers a new group lying in wait, and faced with this new adversary, Sheltir launches a fierce assault, transforming into her monstrous form. With her powerful Spewit lance in hand, she initiates an attack, only to be skillfully blocked by the leader of the group. Seizing the opportunity, the leader commands an elderly woman among them to activate her dress. The magic of the dress glows, and a beam of light shoots directly at Sheltir. As Sheltir feels her thoughts being manipulated, she quickly counterattacks, killing the person attempting to control her and their bodyguard. In the throne room of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, Ainz utilizes powerful magic to observe Sheltir Bloodfallen from a distance. He expresses frustration at having to rely on such potent items to address this problem. Unexpectedly, he receives a brief message from Narberal Gamma informing him that he has been summoned by the Rantel Adventurers Guild regarding the discovery of Sheltir. In Rantel, disguised as Mammon, Ainz attends a meeting organized by the Guildmaster, Pluton Ainzek. The meeting is attended by 3 other Mithril-ranked adventurer teams, Rainbow, Sky Wolf, and Kralgra. They have all been assembled to address the vampire issue. Ainz, aiming to minimize the impact of Sheltir's appearance, fabricates a story in which he claims to be familiar with the vampire, referring to her as Haniopnioko, and asserts that he has been actively pursuing her. Additionally, he reveals possession of a sealing crystal containing a powerful 8-tier spell, which he plans to employ. Mammon insists that darkness will confront Haniopnioko alone, emphasizing that involving additional individuals will only result in more casualties. Most participants in the room agree to Ainz's conditions, except for Igvarj from Kralgra, who insists that his team must join Mammon in the battle against the vampire. Reluctantly, Ainz accepts Igvarj's demand. However, during their journey to Sheltir's location, Igvarj is defeated and killed by Mayor Bello Fior, one of Ainz's friends. Ainz and Albedo continue their advance towards Sheltir, with Ainz revealing his magical ring named Shooting Star. He hopes that the wish-granting power of the ring will reverse the mind control on Sheltier. To his surprise, the magic of the ring fails to work, leading Ainz to panic and order a retreat. He teleports himself and Albedo to a safer location. Albedo tries to inquire about the situation, but Ainz experiences a fit of rage. However, his undead nature helps him regain control, and he calms down, explaining to Albedo that the divine item's magic had no effect on Sheltier's mind control. He reveals that only world items possess the power to counter it. Initially believing there were no world items in the new world, Ainz urgently instructs Albedo to accompany him to the treasury to retrieve the world items stored there. In the treasury, Ainz and Albedo are accompanied by Yuri Alpha. As they reach the entrance to the inner sanctum, Ainz opens the gate, and they encounter a humanoid octopus-like creature. Albedo mistakes it for her creator, Tabula Smaragdina, but quickly corrects herself upon realizing it is an imposter. This imposter is revealed to be Pandora's actor, a doppelganger serving as the area guardian of the treasury. Pandora's actor introduces himself and deduces their purpose, offering his assistance in retrieving the world items. Feeling embarrassed by Pandora's actor's playful behavior, Ainz privately requests him to act seriously and refrain from unnecessary antics. To emphasize his point, Ainz presents Pandora's actor with his own ring of Ainz Ooal Gown.
その通りでございます、アインズ様。だったらな、そんなし。
Ainz then instructs Albedo to give her ring to Yuri and directs both of them to accompany him to the mausoleum. Within the mausoleum, Ainz reveals the presence of the Avatara, golem statues crafted in the likeness of each of the supreme beings. He explains that these statues serve as a tribute and memorial to his fellow comrades, as well as a secure storage space for their belongings. Ainz informs Albedo that one day there will be a statue of himself among them. Albedo, fearing that Ainz might leave them, pleads for him to stay with Nazarick indefinitely. Ainz cannot make that promise and instead entrusts Albedo with the responsibility of leading Nazarick and the other floor guardians if he is gone. Ainz informs Albedo of his decision to confront Sheltier alone, despite her objections. He states that it is his duty and expresses his desire to prevent his subordinates from fighting amongst themselves. Witnessing his unwavering determination, Albedo insists that he make one promise to her to return safely. Upon reaching the designated location, Ainz commands Orabella Fiora and Mare Bello Fior to split up and search the area using their respective world items, the depiction of nature and society, and avarice and generosity. He instructs them to scout for any unwelcome intruders. Meanwhile, Demiurge returns to the Great Tomb of Nazarick and meets with Cocytus and Albedo. Curious about the situation, Demiurge learns that Ainz intends to confront Sheltier Bloodfallen alone. Albedo firmly expresses her belief in Ainz's inevitable victory, while Demiurge expresses concern for his master's safety. He reminds Albedo of her past criticism when Ainz went to Erantle to become an adventurer. Demiurge desires to support Ainz but is stopped by Cocytus, who received direct orders from Ainz to prevent any interference. Demiurge reluctantly agrees to Cocytus' decision, but not without asserting that if Ainz were to fall, he expects Albedo to step down from her position as Overseer Guardian. Surprisingly, Albedo accepts this demand, still maintaining her unwavering faith in Ainz's abilities and his safe return. Ainz arrives at the location where Sheltier is in standby mode, sensing the perfect opportunity to engage in battle. He enhances his abilities by casting spells that boost his stats and equips quick change items to adapt swiftly to various situations. Finally, he readies himself to unleash the devastating power of super tier magic, Fallen Down. As the spell nears completion, its tremendous force inflicts massive damage, leaving behind a vast crater where the floor guardian once stood.
決まっております。私の部下を動か
However, Sheltier reveals that she is not only equipped with Spewit Lance but also wearing her resilient Valkyrie armor. Though seemingly undamaged, she acknowledges that Ainz's attack did cause some harm. Now, she prepares to retaliate against her master, readying herself for an offensive assault. A fierce battle ensues, accompanied by verbal taunts and powerful attacks from both sides. Initially, Sheltier gains the upper hand, but Ainz utilizes his experience to strategically turn the tide. Unwilling to be outdone, Sheltier summons her Einherjar, a physical double that adds complexity to the fight. Yet, Ainz cleverly counters the combined assault and manages to defeat the duplicate. Nevertheless, Sheltier continues her relentless onslaught, with her Spewit Lance draining Ainz's mana. Determined to gain the advantage, Ainz unleashes his formidable technique, Widen Magic, Cry of the Banshee. The surroundings brighten, only to reveal a vast sandy expanse. However, to Ainz's surprise, Sheltier remains unharmed by this devastating attack. She taunts him, asking if he has any last words. Refusing to admit defeat, Ainz maintains his confidence and declares that Sheltier was careless in her actions. He boldly claims that everything is proceeding according to his grand plan. With composure and a strategic mindset, Ainz implies that he still has control over the situation. Sheltier begins to suspect that Ainz has been deceiving her all along, realizing that he possessed knowledge of her abilities from the start. Ainz, adorned in shiny silver armor, recognized this Touchme's counterattacks and inflicts a deep wound on Sheltier with his katana, Take Mikazuchi MK8. Boasting that he possesses the combined power of all 41 supreme beings, Ainz overwhelms Sheltier with a series of attacks using various divine weapons. When Sheltier manages to pierce Ainz with her Spewit lance, she believes victory is within reach, but she is surprised by a voice coming from Ainz's watch. Ainz declares the battle over, enraging Sheltier, who continues her assault. However, she is caught off guard by a skill activated by an unknown source. As Ainz prepares to unleash his powerful super tier magic, Sheltier charges forward, aiming for a fatal blow. However, her attention is diverted by the activation of a skill, allowing Ainz to complete his spell. Sheltier is consumed by oblivion, admitting defeat to her master in her final moments. Ainz then informs Mayor Bellofior about Sheltier's situation and returns to Nazarick to revive her. The other floor guardians remain cautious, fearing that Sheltier may still be under the influence of mind control even after the resurrection. Preparations are made to restrain her if necessary. When Sheltier is successfully revived, she discovers a gap in her memory and realizes her breast pads are missing. Much to the annoyance of her colleagues. Ainz assumes responsibility for the events that transpired and reflects on the time he spent with his comrades. Recognizing the need to enhance their power in the face of potential threats, Ainz learns from Albedo that Nazarick has discovered the Great Lake, the domain of the Lizardmen. Months later, Darkness is promoted within the Adventurers Guild, and Enfira and Lizzie settle in Karn Village, receiving a warm welcome from Henri Emot and Lupus Regina Beta. Elsewhere, Gaze of Stranoff encounters a despondent Brain Unglaus in the city, and in the Slain Theocracy, the leader of the Black Scripture reports their encounters with a powerful vampire to the 6 cardinals. Although concerned, they emphasize the importance of being cautious towards anyone capable of defeating such a formidable creature. Realizing their reduced strength, the cardinals propose sending a team to gather information and monitor the area. They believe that caution and knowledge can compensate for their weakened state. As Mammon, Ainz prepares for another adventure, asking Sheltier to activate Gargantua before leaving the guild. That concludes Overlord. If you'll like me to do a season 2 in the future, comment it down below. Make sure you push subscribe and turn on notifications, and we're out.